Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Pause with Elizabeth Elenor, and it's freezing cold here and really, really windy. So today I want to talk about inappropriate beliefs. What beliefs do you feel are still affecting you in your adult life? In fact, it's really something that we don't consider, or we don't think about on a regular basis, because they're so ingrained that we actually think that they're part of who we are, right? And they are part of who we are. Let me just check to see if I'm on correctly. I am. So I'd love for you to say hi in the chat if you're watching. Inappropriate beliefs. What actually are inappropriate beliefs? Really, they're any beliefs that don't serve where you're going, right? Where it is you heading, what it is that you want to create in your life, what you want to focus on. So anything that's getting in the way of that. And beliefs are really tricky, because beliefs are something that they're sort of like silent. They're not something that jumps out at you and affects, like that you're aware of a lot of the time, unless you're really conscious of working on your progress and where it is that you're moving to, and self-assessing and self-regulating and looking at what's going on in your life, right? And we can have old patterns of behavior that we're not even aware of, right? So for example, I know that I was just going through my notes and stuff when I was looking at what am I creating, or what am I talking about today. And I remember that I had a belief that I couldn't make a decision until someone told me what to do, right? Because when we're growing up, we're often in that place where we are. As soon as we're born, we're looking outside of ourselves for validation and for ways of, we're being influenced by our external environment. We need someone to feed us. We need someone to clothe us. We need to feel safe. We need to feel nurtured. And all of these things are external to us. So it's not unusual to find how often we find ourselves in the belief of I can't make a decision by myself. I need somebody else to tell me what to do, right? That I'm incapable of being able to navigate my own world and to live in my own way of being and to create for myself, because we're conditioned to step out of that, right? And so what are some of the things that you may have in your very being that you're not aware that they're actually still affecting you? So inappropriate beliefs that that you're not capable, or that you're not worthy, that sometimes there's even beliefs around as a woman I have to be a certain way, and that men are a certain way, or that the government is a certain way, that money is a certain way. I know one of my clients, so in my family, I have noticed that the women in my family are the ones that generally go into business, but the men always tend to be, working for somebody else, right? Whereas one of my clients, she's got, I think it's 4 brothers, and all of her brothers own their own businesses, but women don't own their own businesses in their family. So when you're thinking about what your family dynamics are and the way your family thinks about the world and your culture, because your culture can also make a difference. What it is that your culture, what sort of environment in society did you grow up in, right? Different cultures have different rules and different ways of behaving in the family and in social settings and social environments and all of that sort of stuff as well, right? All of these things can totally affect who we are and how we're behaving and what we're doing in our life. And so these things can make a huge difference to the way you are wanting to create wealth in your life. So if you in your family, it was important that you watched the news every night, right? I was on the weekend, Tim and I went to watch the meteor shower. So we were going up the mountain, and it was really, really interesting because we were discussing because my brother texted me and said that the King's coronation was on. Prince Charles was being coronated, and we were already on our way, and he said it was on Channel 23. And I said to Tim, Channel 23? Oh my gosh, what's Channel 23? And like, is that a paid channel? And he said, no, it's a free channel. I'm like, Channel 23? When I was growing up, there was Channel 7, SBS, Channel 2, ABC, Channel 7, 9 and 10. And I haven't watched TV for so long that I didn't know that there was 23 channels on the TV. And I'm like, well, why are people buying Netflix and stuff like that if there's so many channels? And then, well, of course, all those channels have got ads on them, right? And then you can't choose what you want to create, I suppose, or what you want to watch. Whereas Netflix and all of those things, you can make a choice and watch whatever you want without the ads. But that all of that is the very what we were talking about was, I can't even imagine watching the news anymore, because the vibration of the news is so low and imprinting information about things that I don't need to know about, right? If I'm creating my own life and I'm focused, then the things that are on the news are trying to pull me away from that focus and keep me in a particular vibration. Whereas somebody else might think it's really important to watch the news because they need to know what's going on in the world. Well, if I'm creating my reality, then what's going on in the world is really important. My external environment and how I'm behaving with that external environment is important to me. And if I'm finding out what's happening in other countries that right this second are not empowering me, then that's affecting my vibration. Whereas somebody else might find that extremely challenging not to know what's going on, because then they feel like they're not going to be prepared. Well, being prepared from a superconscious level, from your intuition will guide you every step of the way of how to use, to be in flow with what's happening in the world as well anyway. Hey Jerry, I'm having trouble embracing aging. I must have a belief related to this. How can I unpack this and release this? Really, really interesting, isn't it, Jerry? Lovely to have you on, because you've got a few different beliefs that, not you in particular, but we can have beliefs from our environment growing up, right? And you know, I remember my dad passed away when I was 15, and I remember everyone saying, oh, he was so young because he was 47, and at my age I was 15 thinking, God, he was really old, you know, like why is everyone saying he's so young? And so you've got all these different beliefs that you've been conditioned to believe from your parents and your, you know, immediate circle. And then we've got, on top of that, we've got the world beliefs, right? Especially for us women have got this freaking pressure on us to look young all our life, right? You know, that's all of this stuff that's going on about putting poison into our face so that we can look younger, so our face doesn't actually move anymore. And I don't know about you, but I totally can see, you know, like my skin is alive. I can feel it, I can see it, I'm vibrant in my, you know, the glow of my skin. But when you put those poisons into your body, the skin starts dying, the vibrancy goes, and you get this like sort of like plastic look. And it's the pressure that we've got on us to look a certain way and to not you know, allow ourselves to age gracefully. So one of the things to answer your question, how can I unpack this and release this? Look back at some of the stuff that was going on in your family. What are some of the family beliefs and some memories that you have around aging, and, you know, some of the things that you might have heard your parents talk about when it came to people being older and, you know, aging, you know, as people get older. How did your mother handle the way she aged, right? And what were some of the things that maybe your father or people that were in your immediate circle, how did they respond to the way she was aging, right? Then on top of that, you want to look at what are some of the things that you're hearing out in society. Society is so hard on women. We have to look a certain way to be attractive in, or to be validated, to be seen as a part of the community. We've got to be a certain way, right? And so what I would suggest to you is that you want to write all of those things down, all of those beliefs that come to you. And another part of this is when you're out and about and you have a moment where, you know, someone might look at you, or watch what your thoughts are when you have that moment. You know, do you go into feeling unworthy or not perfect, or you know, all of these things, all of the things, these little tiny particles of information that come to us that we are very, very unconscious of, because they're almost silent instructions now. So when you think about how it is that you were, you know, the things that were coming up for you in your childhood, and watching, you know, older women, what are some of the things that come up for you? As a society, we have totally disconnected from the wise woman or the wise elders, and we have thrown them in, like our, since the Industrial Revolution, we have, the community has disintegrated a lot, and we are creating more and more ourselves as the younger generation. And so we don't have time for our elders, and they're being put into nursing homes and stuff, right? So you think about all of those things that are happening out there in the world and how that is affecting us. Because, and the images, so those images that we get on TV, on billboards, on, brochures that are put into our letterboxes, all of these things are subtle imprints of this is the way you need to look, or this is the way you need to behave, or this is what your body needs to be doing or experiencing, right? Even menopause. We are being conditioned to believe that menopause is, is this crazy experience, and that we're all going to, turn into a banshee and start screaming and being radical and wild and all of those things, right? We've been consciously programmed and these things coded into us of this is how it's going to look, right? And it's not necessarily the case. I'm going through perimenopause at the moment, and I've had moments of hot flushes and being able to shift that with my diet. And I think once or twice I've had, been a bit emotional, but I haven't had the experience that a lot of women are having, and because I don't believe in it. First of all, I don't believe in it, and also I have taken steps within my own body to look after my health so that those things don't happen. And I do feel myself personally, on a spiritual level, that when you haven't, allowed yourself to express who you are and really been in alignment with yourself, that's when you're going to have trouble in menopause, or any emotions that you're feeling as a woman. They can be because you're not self-expressing, because you're not in alignment with your true end result and who it is that you really, really want to experience yourself as being. So how can you release it, Jerry? There are a few different ways. One is being aware of the belief and, staying focused on what it is that you want to create instead. Or another great thing to do is for you to get in contact with me. I do a thing called recoding, and it clears those beliefs from the source of where it came from in the first place, right? So it's a really powerful, very permanent and instant process, and it's one of the things that's helped me to stay aligned with what it is that I'm truly wanting to create, outside of these external beliefs that have been impressed onto me of how I should be and who I should be and what my environment should be and all of those things. Because not only have we got our own beliefs that we've made up from our childhood, but we've also then got beliefs from our family, we've got beliefs from our community, we've got beliefs from the world that are imprinting on us. And then on top of that, we've got all of this, what we call epigenetics. It's the science of the genes and the emotions that get trapped within the genes that are on, that are actually in our genetic pathways. So what have our family, generations thought about aging? What have we thought about women? What have we thought about the environment? What have we thought about how we work, how we get money, how we stay healthy. All of these things can be actually imprinted into us, not just from our own childhood, but from all of these generations. And I personally, the more I've been doing this sort of work, the more I'm like, wow, when will people ever really truly experience who they are? Because it's like they've got these layers and layers and layers of beliefs and emotions and old suppressed memories from generations past that are overriding the very nature of who we are and who we choose to express ourselves as. So when you can get through all of those layers and really, like, you know, release and release and release, then we can really truly start expressing who it is that we want to be, and start being in our own lane, right? Start playing our own music and being a vision walker, what I call a vision walker, where we're walking in alignment with what it is that we want to create, and letting go of all of that old information that no longer serves us because it wasn't ours in the first place, right? I'm so glad to hear that it was helpful, Jerry, and I'll reach out afterwards and so that we can have a chat if you need any more specific help. So I want you to really pause and think, what is it that you believe in that may not be serving you? So I'll give you an example. Before I met Tim, I had met a guy and I was going out with him for a little while, and it was a really interesting relationship because he lived about 3 hours away from me. So and anyway, the dynamics were very interesting, and one of the things that that happened, you know, like, he saw me as a spiritual, you know, spiritually developed woman, and one of the things that he was doing was that he would spend a lot of time with a lot of women. So he actually loved nurturing relationships with women, which I was totally fine with, right? I didn't have any problem with that. However, some of the things that were happening was, in a nutshell, he was treating me the same as every other woman that he was meeting, so he had quite a few different relationships with different women. He wasn't sexually involved with them, but everything else that was going on, and like, he would answer the phone the same. He would, you know, we had a beautiful meal once that we put together to get, you know, and one of the things he said, oh, I'll have to make this for such and such next week, right? And so there was no differentiation between me and all the other women, right? And at first, I didn't know how, like, I felt it as twinges in my body, right? Like when I heard him answer the phone to another woman, I'm like, oh, that's how he answers the phone to me. And I felt this twinge, right? And as women, we tend to deny those twinges, deny, you know, oh, that's okay, you know, like, I'm just being, it's me, right? I'm the one that's got a problem. But because I've been in, you know, spiritually developing myself for a fair while, 25 years now, when I noticed the second and the third thing, I started taking note. Okay, there's something here that my body is trying to tell me, right? So I tuned in. What's going on here that's feeling out of alignment? And I realized that if I was going to be his partner, I wanted to be the one that was special in his life. I felt, that was my belief, I felt that I was the one that should be the special one that he focused on, right? Didn't mean he couldn't have other relationships, but I wanted to feel special. That was my belief. So when I recognized that that's what was going on, I decided to express that to him, right? First of all, I reflected myself. So Jerry, that's an important thing for you to recognize. What is it I'm feeling, right? So I reflected on it myself, really processed it. Yeah, this is a belief I've got, right? So I expressed it. Sat down and had an opportunity to discuss it with him. It was really interesting because he then went into total denial and took it back onto me. Wait a minute, you're a spiritual being, and if we're all equals, why do you have a problem, and why do you want to be the special one? And I'm not sleeping with anyone else. And he went into the old patterns of, when other women would then have a problem with this and then go, you're cheating on me and all that. And that's not what I was saying. I was just saying, I personally prefer, I would like to be feeling like I'm special, right, in a relationship. And so in that process, he went back into, well, wait a minute, and if you're spiritual, why are you special? We should all be treated equally and stuff. And that made me question my belief, because I'm like, yeah, I actually believe that too. I believe that everyone should feel like they're equal in all of life, but I also wanted to be special. So I had this conflict going on, and I really sat with it. I'm like, okay, there's a conflict internally, and he's got a point. So I had to really sit with it. What does it feel like to me, both of them, and what is my belief, and what is actually a belief that is being imprinted on me from society or my family or whatever it might be. So I had to really look at both of the beliefs. And what I came to was, I recognized that yes, everyone is equal, and that everyone has the right to be loved and nurtured and all of those things. But when I sat with it and really focused on what I truly believed for myself, I realized that I wanted to be freaking special in somebody's life. That if I was going to be with my lover, that I was going to be that man's focus. That I was going to be the man, that he had my back and I had his back, and that's how, that's what, like there was this union between the two of us. And that was my belief. I looked at all of the dynamics of what was going on, and then I went, this is my belief, this is what I want to believe, and this is truth for me. And hence, I ended up talking to him about it, and we ended up disagreeing, and so he's no longer in my life, right? Because I came to really taking ownership of what I believed in, and unpacking all of the dynamics that weren't mine, and whether they were serving me or not. Were they an inappropriate thought and belief, and how did they make me feel? What were some of the emotions that were coming up from that? And what was my personal belief? What did I want to create? What did I want to experience? So hopefully, Jerry, that helps you as well. It's a little bit different to what you're talking about, but it actually might relate, because being embracing aging can have those threads and tendrils in relationships, right? So I want you to just take a moment this week and really dive into what's serving you and what's not serving you. What are some of the inappropriate beliefs that may not be yours, that may be from previous generations, and really look at whether they're yours and whether you want to keep carrying them or not, right? Maybe even take note, take a little notepad around with you and tune in to what some of the things you're believing as you're walking through your day and going through your week and living out there in the world, right? Because you might be very surprised at what's affecting you and what's not affecting you. And this is one of the things that we will be looking at and working with in a course that I have coming up. It's a masterclass. It's a three-hour masterclass called Vision of Wild. And we're going to be looking at the heroine's journey. Where are you in your own adventure? What are some of the things that are affecting you? And we're going to look at some of the sabotage beliefs, and sometimes we've got different personality types that relate more to one than they do to another. We're also going to be doing a process of really tuning in to what it is that you line up with. What is your vision of your future, and what's your highest capacity that you can contain and hold and experience here, so that you can line up and focus on that, right? So that you can live in your wild nature, your true essence. Not wild as in crazy, but wild as in your innate wisdom, your innate intuition, and really work on living in your groove. So if anyone's interested in that, just put yes please in the comments or get in contact with me, and we'll send you the link. Take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll catch you soon.